So we've not sorted out all the technical glitches, but we're getting there. So this time we only lost 6 minutes. The next speaker is Charl, who you'll know, but let me just quickly read you his introduction. Charl says he's a somewhat libertarian anarchist in thinking. He grew up in East London, reading Donald Woods in the Daily Dispatch. Donald Woods, of course, his mother called an adder, snake? Adder. And he used to be a deacon in the Dutch Reformed Church, voted for the National Party before reading The Fountainhead in 1972, and has a master's degree in industrial psychology. So I think you've moved on from the first two, eh? And he's an atheist, lecturer in economics at a private university, and would rather be cycling in faraway places. I'm assuming not right now. But
even right now.
Well, welcome, Charl.
And I dressed up for the occasion.
Good.
The reason that I gave you the information that I grew up in East London is to actually serve as a backdrop for where I come from. And that was a conservative Afrikaans family. But my mother, she was a compassionate person. I remember going to town on every Saturday. She'd dress up, even have a hat on, go to Woolworths, and we'll sit and eat cream cakes and have tea like normal civilized people. But she insisted every time that we came out there was a guy without legs. She would give me a few pennies to put into his little bowl. So compassion and feeling for the underdog. She would, for example, always say that I take, jy vat altyd hulle kant, you know, the others. And I had a feeling, why must the guy at 9 o'clock leave his wife and go back to the township? Why can't he stay there? That was my feeling, and Donald Woods had a contribution. For example, go into a shop, and he would call the smell that you get the smell of poverty. And it always worried me that I'm okay, but there are zillions of others that aren't okay. So I'm going to be talking about the libertarian solution to social problems. And there's one social problem that I feel every time I see it. And I just wanted to check whether you feel the same and what your solutions are to the kind of problems that we perceive. So, we'll be exploring the concept of what social problems are. We'll be looking at some typical solutions that our statist environment creates. And some libertarian-like solutions that we have tried and that we have spoken about. And then the solution. And I'd like to check out whether how you feel about the solution. So, what are the social problems? What's a social problem according to this audience? Let's just get one or two words out here.
Care of orphans.
Poverty. Lack of education.
Okay, so
poor education.
So let's define the concept quickly. And this is just a meme that I pulled out. They even got a thing called equality, and I don't think that many of us in this room see that as a problem. But there are many social problems, as you have indicated. If libertarianism is even applicable to these social issues, it seems to me that, let it go, let it happen. Why should we get involved in any way? Seems to be a bit of a pervasive feeling that libertarians have, but when I look at them, they often act contrary to this general perception of libertarianism. But do you agree that we are often accused of being less feeling in dealing with these kind of issues than, for example, the socialists or churches or other dogmas and philosophies? I don't know why this thing always comes up here. All right, so I looked up what they said social problems are, and if you look at the definition of what a social problem is, it's a condition where at least some people in a community feel that it's undesirable. And the examples that they mention in the definition that comes up if you do a Google search are murders and DWI, and I had to go and look up, wow, what do they mean by DWI? I thought it was drunken driving, but yeah, this is the official one, driving while intoxicated. Now, we've got a solution to that, and we say if you don't hurt the guy, you can be as drunk as hell, and that's the libertarian solution. So that didn't really satisfy me. And then I came across this little story, and that is that critics, that's the critics of libertarians, frequently say that libertarian solutions to social problems, they just don't work. They kind of pie in the sky. And the other issue is that if you haven't got this method to solve the problem, the government moves in, and the more the government moves in, the more people like you and I do less, and we say, well, that's the government's job, it's not my job to solve these social problems. Now, is that an excuse that we use?
Just press the mouse twice.
I'm just going to keep the color scheme and don't show this message again. Great.
We're not seeing it.
Is that your excuse too, and what is your solution? So, am I right in making this assertion that we have shifted away our social responsibility, or are you still heavily involved and trying to solve these problems?
I am not sure that people would step up to the plate.
Well, as I said, I was a Christian. We went out and we gave food packets away and made me feel good. Once I became a libertarian, I said, I don't have to do it anymore. It's not my problem. And we've got this government that is doing the job. The perfect solution for me personally. And I said, I'll put in my will, the day that I die, they can take all my money and give it to the poor. That's how I've been...
Why would you do that?
Where else must the money go?
To us.
I don't need my money.
Okay, to the Libertarian Society.
Okay, that's a welfare case.
I'll take it.
Right.
I've been banking on that.
So these problems still persist, or are you blind? And the government is getting more involved in solving that problem through force and using my money. So that's the current situation, and we are not solving the problem. And as Francis said, the major problem is, and this for me is the major problem. Now, most of these photographs I took off the internet, so they're not quite appropriate. They're white, poor people, but we know what the situation in South Africa is. This is my friend. He asked me for a blanket the other day. I gave him $5 and said, go and do your thing. And I'll get back to him a bit later. So what's the libertarian response to the kind of problems that we know is out there? The front page of a book that you're all familiar with. Don't inherit your own money. Okay. This is a quick aside. This is a comment of a person criticizing libertarians and Randians. Now, obviously, he's got a chip on his shoulder. I don't make that distinction, but generally, the perception is that libertarians don't care, they care for themselves, and although there's many examples around this room of the contrary, we're all doing our thing, but is this a perception that people have of the libertarian view?
Charl, I think one of the things is that most of our friends have no idea what a libertarian stands for. And we spend most of our time trying to explain
And after you explain to them?
and walk away knowing that they didn't get the message.
But if-
because I'm not good enough at giving that message.
But the conclusion that they then come to is you self-serving. You.
I don't think they've even
Well,
gone
in
that deep.
America where it's relevant,
Mhm.
because it's actually, people know who they are.
Yeah.
Yes, I think, sure this is a,
Okay, good stuff. So what have we done and how are we going about? Because if we don't solve that problem, or it's not seen that we are involved in solving the problem, we are irrelevant. And the view is irrelevant, and we will not make headway in the way current societies are put together. That's where I'm currently coming from.
Solving the problem of the poor.
Poverty, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I mean, what Leon does and what many other people do, yes, we're working on these big schemes, but we're not being seen as really contributing in solving the problem because we haven't got the evidence. If someone asked you, who did more for the poor, the Roman Catholic Church or libertarianism? Answer is clear. The Roman Catholic Church beats you and our efforts by zillions. And it's voluntary. And nobody's forced to pay their 10% tithe or whatever you call it. So, the conclusion is we are not making any headway. Let's have a look.
maybe it's because we don't care.
Maybe it is. Okay, then that will be a little bit of an indictment.
We don't care about the problem as they define it.
Right. Is this a problem or is it not a problem? Is this a problem or not a problem? I believe it is a problem, and I've always felt that I should be doing more to help resolve this issue. If we want to be relevant in any way, we, the libertarians, need to impact it in some way. Now, we know what the socialist solution is. You put them in camps, you eliminate them from society. That's a bit extreme.
I don't think that's what Bernie Sanders had in mind.
It would be the outcome, though.
I didn't have access to the photograph that we took of all the skulls in Cambodia. This is just in representation of that. That is the result of wanting to eliminate the problem. You just eliminate them. So yeah, I want to propose a solution, but let's have a look at a few libertarian solutions tried previously. The first is Harry Brown, and that fits in with the way that we view it. And that is, if something is bothering you, do something directly, and you feel happy about it, and you solve the problem to the degree that you can. Nothing wrong with it. The second one is our friend Adam Smith. Do you agree with this contentions, with this view?
Yeah.
That you can't sleep comfortably while there's a hungry guy, and that's the Ubuntu kind of thing that we have in South Africa. I can't sleep comfortably, it's ANC and statists. They view that as well. So yeah, we've got a fairly free market guy really sharing that feeling. But our solution, we know, is different. And Stephen?
Should I?
Did you, no, did you, there was a program with this
Yeah, it's on the
front page.
on the back.
The orange, yeah.
You know about that I was going to use it. So it seems like, yeah, this is our solution. And that is, if everybody looks after himself and trades, we will have the kind of society that we want. So yeah, we're working towards this. But is it working? Have we solved the problem, or are we saying, well, it's because the state is so big that this doesn't manifest itself? Okay, so we've been promoting laissez-faire capitalism. The FMF has been doing it. Other institutions have been doing it, and there's many ways of doing so. You write articles, you try and influence legislation, you do what many of us are actually doing. Is it good enough? I don't know, but the problem is still here. Should we accept that the problem is going to stay here? Or is there more that we can do, or something different that we can do? Okay, the social Darwinist approach. Man, this thing will sort itself out, and the best philosophy and the best way of organizing ourselves will, in the end, win. Now, I don't know whether the view that I hold as being truthful and valuable is actually going to win in this process. Or perhaps we should, this meme should grow a bit better. So the fourth solution has always been some form of philanthropy, either organized or less organized. The fifth approach is Libertarian. So in that process, at least we'll keep some of the participants happy, but Libertarians have failed miserably over the years, and let's.
They haven't failed. They've never started.
Yeah, it's been patchy, I would call it. Hey. In 1985, there was a conference at Nebo. A guy called Trevor Watkins proposed this idea of a libertarian. I couldn't make the first conference. It was just a week or two afterwards. The company that I was working for was the Small Business Development Corporation, and it's also a little interesting story. The fact that I started working at the SPDC was to do something to solve the problem. I had a nice job. One of the reasons I got divorced is that I left that nice job for this lower paying job doing something good. But luckily so, their offices were in the same building as the Free Market Foundation. I became a member of the Free Market Foundation in 1980. This conference was 1985. So I popped into Leon's office. I said, "Hi Leon, how did the conference go?" And started chatting, and I mentioned this, gee, isn't there a way that one can, mobilize and make something happen? You're the main actor in this part of the talk, Trevor.
Sorry.
And he said, Trevor Watkins. Talk to Trevor Watkins. And then a few days later, I knocked on his door, and that's where the relationship with Trevor Watkins started. Okay, it has been an interesting but not so fruitful association. It's been fun, Trevor. I mean, we've had some great time. Boerie rolls. You didn't mention that, but didn't you value the boerie rolls that we had on Guy Fawkes Day and stuff like that? No, it was great.
We accomplished our purpose. You and I had fun. Stuff the rest.
Okay. So at the second conference, I made a talk. And that talk was, let's get a Libertaria off the ground. And yes, we did make some progress towards it. You saw the guy with the cigarette there. I actually gave the talk, and while I was giving the talk, I saw the video the other day. I was busy smoking and smoking. I mean, how things have changed.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show you a picture or two, and then you tell me what's wrong with these pictures. This was Libertarian number 1. You became one of our major shareholders. It was only 1.8 million rand. We got together 1.4, and we were too chicken to put in the other 400,000 rand. Otherwise, I think we would have been well off today had that one happened.
Would you believe it still hasn't been sold?
No, but what's the price now? 8.5 million rand. Okay. 200 hectares of pristine, you call it what, the bushes, we bulldoze out the fynbos and things like that. Yeah. All right, but it's a beautiful piece of real estate, isn't it? Right. This photograph, similar, a beautiful piece of real estate. What's wrong with the pictures?
Nobody's living there.
Infrastructure. Too far away.
It won't solve the problem. This will be it represents the world that we want to live in. It's idealistic, it's utopian, but it doesn't deal with the real social issues confronting our society. It would be just another conference. We are now in October 2016. And I want to propose it's really a pipe dream that I've got.
Another one.
You've got it, baby, say it again. But with a difference.
Libertarian in the mountains this time.
Okay, so I just want to quickly, I'll page through it fairly quickly, some international experiments. You all know about the Principality of Sealand. The Libertarian Republic, it doesn't exist. This is an artist impression. We've seen them come and go, these artist impressions of a libertarian. You know about Liberland? This is an interesting one. Liberland is an interesting one. On the border between Croatia and Serbia, the river goes like this. They straightened it to make it navigable. There are certain parts of Croatia in Serbia and Serbia in Croatia, and there's one portion, Liberland, which neither of the two countries say it's ours. But when this guy's put out on the internet, he got something like 400,000 potential citizens come and live there, but they put the army around this and he can't occupy his own country.
So just a very quick point of question. Anybody else a resident of Liberland here? Yeah,
okay, so occupy your
All the
country.
suckers.
We all know about the Free State project. It's busy happening, eh? They've got all their signatures, the people are moving there, they've already got 2 or 3 people in the legislature. It's busy happening, so we'll see how that one pans out.
Isn't there one on a ship somewhere?
Yeah, the Seasteading Institute, they've run into some problems.
Is it active ship at the moment?
Do you know Minerva? Underwater island. They started putting soil on there to lift it up, but 3 days later the Fijian Navy rocked up there and chased them away. Freedom ship, some moves into that direction. This one was a failure. That one isn't Libertarian, so let's move on.
Just because they rejected your plan for the plantation doesn't mean it's a failure.
This
Not Libertarian.
I didn't know about until I prepared for this talk and I landed up into this. So this is a bit of a diversion, but allow me. Let's just see when. This is not how you make a slide for a presentation. You shouldn't put on a slide more than what's on a T-shirt. I know the theory, but let's go through it. It is based on the Constitution, the Charter of the Social Contract, and this was ratified in 2014. And part of this was where the citizens would stop attacking the government and create these municipal assemblies, which he calls a democracy without the state. He envisaged these assemblies becoming a confederation for self-defense and the values of environmentalism, gender equality, ethnic and cultural and religious pluralism. Makes sense, doesn't it? These ideas have been... Who of you know of Rojava?
No.
Okay, so it's fairly new and topical. Hundreds of neighborhood-based communities have been established across the 3 Rojava cantons. They've got a co-governance policy. Each level of government includes female equivalents, the same authority as a male, and the top 3 officers of each of these institutions are of the 3 major religions in that particular area. And it provides ethnic balance. Rojava politics has been described as having a libertarian, now I don't know what all these words mean, but a libertarian transnational aspiration, influenced by the party's shift towards anarchism, but also includes various tribal, ethno-sectarian, capitalist, and patriarchal structures. Let's go there. How does it sound? Does it sound the kind of place that we would want to live?
Yeah.
But you know, the libertarian that we have in it, how does it sound to you? Does it sound good?
Sounds like
Crazy.
Sounds like the kind of place you and
Trevor
and Ryan would go to.
Doesn't it sound like Switzerland?
Well, very much.
Okay, so also the place that you might want to associate with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Associate with what you go to.
Oh, not go. No, they're not next to the ocean, or they haven't got a nice mountain view. I don't know.
Hang on a second.
Right.
Just sorry to interrupt, but just as somebody who constantly has to deal with people breaking contracts and stuff, what do you mean by patriarchal structure?
You must now see where these guys come from and
Sounds
stuff.
like
So
Riah.
let me put this onto the world map.
Yes.
Yes.
So this seems like a desirable place to be. I'm telling you, you know what it be. Yeah, they are. The yellow portions.
Wow.
Nice neighbors.
Did you know that those ideas are alive there? And they're busy fighting a war to make those ideals real.
Got a place called Ain al Arab. It's not much to change it to Rand.
Okay. Okay, so as I say, this was a little bit of a diversion, but it does show that,
That's not the Kurdistan bits, is it?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is now the guy's history there, but I'm not going to go there. He's a Kurd. He was in jail in Turkey for a few years and so on. I just found this kind of an interesting thing that I ran across, and it's got nothing to do really with the talk. Why doesn't it want to go down now?
But it's a tribal kind of thing, hey, that you get in tribal societies quite a lot of, I would have thought. I'm surprised there's gender equality.
Yes, I'm surprised at that part.
last year I think I talked about the system. Is it in Ethiopia? What was it?
HEER?
Yes, yeah, the SEER laws.
This is
based in Syria.
Okay, everything's frozen,
We
so
discard
it's a pity. It's really a pity. Because, we'll work without the slide. Because remember that guy that I showed you? I want to show you his house. He's my neighbor.
Oh, right.
He's my
One who
neighbor.
asked you for a blanket.
He lives in a pipe outside on the pavement. The other day, the government came, the municipal, and he's got a sheet to protect him from the cold. They took that plastic sheet away and they took his stuff, a blanket. I want to see Libertaria solving that problem. So I've got a pipe dream to have a property in Johannesburg, not where you or anybody else want to stay, but I want to protect the most vulnerable from the state. You put the pipes down there, you make sure that they've got water,
Toilet.
and a toilet, and that's the government, us. That's our contribution to them. They can do what they want there. Gail said, man, you're crazy, you're not going to tell these guys that is the solution to the problem.
Where would it be, in your backyard?
Wherever we can protect them.
In your backyard?
No, there are derelict mine areas, which is a bit away from your backyard, because I know you don't want these guys in your
But
backyard.
the trouble is they want to be close to where they can push those carts.
Yes. So a mine dump in the south of Johannesburg, and what we will do is we will put the fence up and stop these bastards taking their stuff.
But will they want to be there?
Well,
If they don't have to be.
they don't have to be. Yeah, and if I can guarantee them, that is what I will provide. And you might want to educate them. I mean, who wants to now run seminars on a Saturday, which we did with we ran seminars to teach people about libertarianism. So, yeah, you might want to do it, but if you want to do it, you can do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just giving you the idea, and perhaps that's what we've always been doing. We've been talking about ideas that we don't really believe that we can turn into reality.
Can I make an observation, or do you want to finish the
Oh,
talk?
no, make your observation. I've got an hour, so...
Yeah. We're already living in a large part of a libertarian solution to South Africa's social problems, and they are squatter camps.
Yes.
Okay, they are outside the purview of government. They are built by individuals using their own resources.
They're the lucky ones. I'm talking about the guys even further down. And if we can demonstrate that we can solve the problem for the poorest of the poor, maybe people will start believing us, and people might say, hey, you are a compassionate group of guys, you have got a real solution, and they will give us money.
Let me tell you what your first problem is. These guys want to live in the inner city because that's where they're big and that's where they're people and that's where...
Yeah.
So unless you can get something
An old building or...
close to the inner city, they're not going to go out to the mines because
Yeah.
they've got
This
to travel.
guy's living in Randburg.
They actually want to live under the road or...
And have you as a neighbour.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also people like the Catholic Church in Rosebank,
yeah.
they actually have a shelter where they feed these people, these
Yeah,
homeless people.
yeah,
They
see,
come in there and they get
yeah.
food.
Yeah.
So they are
Yeah, sure, and that's
charities
what,
trying to help them.
that's what Gail said to me. I mean, your solution is... So in what sense is my solution different?
Okay.
And it's based on property rights. You're going to buy a pipe. You're going to work for it. You're not going to get it for free. I'm not going to give you free food. Yes, we might... there might be some, but that's not the idea. The idea is not to keep on feeding this hapless guy for the next 40 years. I believe
that if people are given dignity, even if it starts with a pipe, will be better than what the Roman Catholic Church is currently doing. Although, yes, they train and do all sorts of things, but for me, there's more involved. And property rights, for me, is an important ingredient in the solution.
Yeah, for the people for whom that is, but a lot of these people are mentally ill people,
Yes, I know that.
schizophrenics, and they
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
care less about
Yes.
self-esteem or buying a pipe.
Yeah.
And that's who that
Yeah.
Catholic Church caters for.
I hear what you're saying.
Starving people who are
Yeah.
not in our world.
Yeah. And for that, I would say charity is the only solution if you don't want to go the state route. But for me, there's a little level above that where this solution might
You do
just
realise
work.
that in our social justice warrior world, as it exists now, you could never sell the idea to the powers that be that a pipe was a dignified solution to property for anyone.
Right.
They would laugh you out of court in the same way they laugh any opposition to a minimum wage out of court.
Okay, so here is his home, and as I say, he's my neighbor. He's in imminent danger. They're going to now develop that property and they're going to chase him away. Where is he going to go to?
Sorry, Charl, when you say he's your neighbour, how far away is he?
20 meters.
Big one?
20 meters.
Okay.
My corner is just
Didn't you see the big pipe where Charl is?
Yes. He's a hobbit.
So do we have a blind spot when it comes to social concerns? I think perhaps we do have a little bit. And I ran across this little quote. Watching a Libertarian say what the solution to this is like watching a heavily autistic man struggle through a dinner party.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think it's more like being at a party of autists.
So this for me is the problem, and I can't think of a more dreadful solution or a dreadful problem than this. I mean, I've been a wealthy tourist in a place, not a wealthy, but a tourist in a place, but I can't speak the language. And if this was where I came from, this is misery. This is misery. And if there was a pipe farm known where I could sleep the night, that would solve the problem. So, this new Libertarian called, did I mention the name? Consentia. It's a piece of land, there's minimum services, and there's a voluntary support system. I believe in liberty. And you all know this little inscription at the bottom of the Liberty statue. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse
As long as
of
they're not
North
from
Demon
Syria.
Shore. Send these, the homeless, tempestos to me. I will lift the lamp beside the golden door. So, it's a soft place to fall. It's a haven. It's protected from state intervention. It's safe, it's secure. It's a hope for the future. It's a ladder to a better life. I believe it's different to our previous proposals, although we will learn from them and the constitutions will be used, and there will be, as I mentioned, property rights or the possibility of property rights for the poor, and there we go. So yeah, you might want to get churches involved, you might even want to get government agencies involved, but it's starting to build a society from the bottom up rather than from the top down. And I believe it's the indifference from a religious shelter. They're trying to convince or change these people. I don't want to convince or change them, but I want to give them a ladder to start walking up. This is where a guy sleeps at night. This photograph I took on my way to this conference. Yes, this is it. Look at what he made his house from. Political posters. I mean, I think it's a stunning photograph, don't you?
Yes, it's under the highway. When I stopped to take this photograph, blue lights behind me, I quickly took it. I think they're going to remove. I damaged this guy by stopping there to take this photograph. They're going to take this away. They don't want photographs of this taken, but this is where people live. Consentia is the solution.
I'm not sure that they would choose it.
Okay, let me finish the talk and then we go into... So, yeah, is it possible? Is this little talk the end or is it the beginning? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Is it the end or is it the beginning?
I want to ask you, how are you going to protect it from state intervention? If you buy a piece of land somewhere in the northern suburbs of Joburg?
See, obviously we now got to be shrewd here. I'm not going to build it next to Hyde Park Hotel. We're dead in the water. Won't work. Yes, if the neighbors are far away, and I think Francis is correct there, these guys want to be able to push their trolleys, they want to do their thing, they want to be close to, well, this guy, I think he is mentally a little bit not lekker, or en I fobbed him off for R5. Yeah, so he's staying there. So he might want to stay in the south of Johannesburg or mine dump. So that's the first thing. The location must be thought out, and the land is also cheaper there. It might not even be fit for human habitation because it's undermined. Okay, so now we've got that piece of land, 1 hectare. Rugby field size. Do you see any other problems?
Well, I see some problems. I think that these people live so far apart. They're scattered, sort of like, I don't know, very well dispersed.
Yes.
Because they get drunk and then they're going to fight. So if you put everybody together, you're going to end up with social problems that you might not have anticipated.
Right, and then we call in the psychologists and the do-gooders and so on. Go and do your thing there. Yeah. So you've got a captive audience. Yeah, and there's also an economic reason. I mean, I work with hawkers. So the Joburg City Council got them off the street and they put them all in the Yeovil. So there were 5 barbers next to one another. So where they had separately, they had a good clientele. Now together they all share the clientele there and they didn't do financially very well. Same happened with some of the other businesses. So putting people together, so that's why it will be a voluntary thing that people come to because that's the best place for them to be at that particular point. Right, so voluntary.
But you want them to pay something, so that already is a
little stumbling block.
And one might, barrier to entry.
Yeah, and one might even, if you now wanted to, and there's a guy interested, say, let's psychometrically screen these guys and we separate the ones that are able to that just want a place to stay, or the other guys that this is a transition phase. They will go to something better if you provide them with a ladder. And you can have then different strategies for different groups. He's been putting up his hand for some time.
I almost made it in.
Just something you might be, blog that you might be interested in is a group called Bleeding Heart Libertarian.
Okay, I like it.
They're libertarians, but they with a sort of social conscience.
Yeah, okay.
There's a particular one guy that's well known called Will Wilkinson. But a number of others, but they from our sort of libertarian point of view, but with the
right. Have they proposed any solutions? Because I can see if you follow the church kind of solution, that's not for me the solution. That's just another charity. Now, in this case, financed by libertarians.
They do talk about these issues. So
okay.
Have a look. I haven't looked at them.
Okay. No, thanks for that. And I might just. I'm not going to be here in 2 years' time. So I thought this might be a project where I can, just get it going, do it, and then
You're
walk.
on your bicycle.
I'm on my bicycle.
In the interest of full disclosure, I think you should have revealed that you used to have an interest in Rockland Pipes.
I sold a quality management program to Rockland Pipes.
You used to have a wife.
And the thing is, they have got reject pipes that we can get for very little money. They got cracks in. They're perfect homes.
My actual point. That
Yes.
was full disclosure.
Okay.
My actual point is that yes, your idea is good. It's already implemented, except they use corrugated iron instead of pipes.
Yeah,
and it's widespread across the country, and, and it's a good solution. But let me ask you a question, because I happen to know the answer to this directly.
Okay.
What is the most important thing you need in a squatter camp? If you went to a squatter camp and said, we can supply you with anything, what would be the one question they would want supplied?
Okay, just conclude your speech.
A wife.
No, just finish up there.
A useful fire extinguishing system.
Okay.
A good fire extinguishing system.
Thank you very much for that one, Trevor. Go for it.
If let's say you've got this the amount of money you need to get the land, buy the pipes, put in the plumbing.
Yep.
If you had that amount of money, is this necessarily better than just like a direct cash grant? For those people who would choose not to live in the pipes, if they with that same cash could do something better themselves.
No, but I've always had this dream of Libertarian, man. A place, a physical place where we can show that even the poorest of the poor can start climbing the ladder. But there are other solutions, and I'm not knocking any solution. I mean, otherwise Leon's life would have been a waste. There are others, and each one to his own. This is just my. There must be a way. There must be a way, and I'm not satisfied with the way that I've been dealing with the issue.
Would you imagine it? So no one could get a hectare in a place where you've got a derelict building or just a fenced-off building that's not being upgraded at the moment. Could one envisage it as like a transit camp? I'm thinking of our tip in Parkhurst, where you've got a mama that's in charge.
Oh yeah, but that would emerge from the group, and you will find people like that
and you would have,
doing their thing.
And you'd say, in this place, you can build any kind of home. Toilets are there.
Yeah.
You've got to keep them functioning. We don't care what you build, whether it's a pipe or a half a container.
And for that you need protection against the state. They're going to impose their rules on them.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you had clusters of these kind of spots.
Yeah.
So, and then the ma or the pa who's in charge, or baba, can say, hey, there are too many in here now. Piss off. Randburg's got a spot.
Yeah.
Or move on.
All sorts of permutations. We had a property in Rose Street in Florida. There were up to 25 people staying in an old church hall, and our deal with the mama was, you pay us, and at that point, 15,000 rand a month, and she still made a profit out of the extra that she got.
I don't know whether you would want it as a permanent place.
Well, it
or
worked
whether
for 4
it is
years.
a transit.
Yeah, no, but and if you could then have just like we've got different suburbs.
And
if you move from the suburb to a higher level, that's fine. But that shows that the system is busy working. It's busy pushing people through. They come in derelict. They come out with some self-esteem, some dignity,
or found a job in the area, or
some things like that. So this is the potential.
Controlled by the people who are living in it, like you showed us these Kurds. Try and encourage something, something cultural.
And if you now really had money, you could have different kinds of libertaria, as outlined in Trevor's book, and that we've spoken about before. Some will have more rules, some will have less rules.
I don't think, Charl, that you should. Peter's telling me I'm talking too much. He always kicks me under the table.
Yeah, no, I've got a partner like that as well.
I won't talk again. But I do think that if it's a transit place, then you don't get families moving in there. You're looking for the loner who's trying to establish themselves.
I'm not
And the
looking for
family, the family must get themselves into maybe a squatter camp. Otherwise you have to have schools and bloody nursing
Well, that's
homes.
the next step. That's the next step.
No, but I don't mean there in the place. Anyway, that's my idea.
Okay, good. And so it seems like you're prepared to contribute ideas.
Yeah,
Are you
and
prepared to
nothing
contribute
free.
money as your...
No, nothing free. You've got to work for it.
Charl, I'll take an alternate point of view.
Okay, go for it.
Because I believe that every country has so-called down and outs and people that aren't properly focused. They don't really know how to develop. And many social countries and even free enterprise try to suppress the presence of those people.
Yes, not in my backyard.
It's their own choice. I mean, we've got a couple in Parkhurst of white boemelaars that walk around, and they manage to probably get robbed once or twice a year. They sleep in the street. They're very vulnerable, but it's their choice. And it's also an example to all of us that if we don't look after ourselves, we could be there. Because especially in some of the very socialist European countries, there's a complete absence of poor people. But those countries have been able to pull themselves up, and there is a work ethic.
Yeah, they steal from the rich in order
What
to
we've got in Africa, and I'm talking about socialist Africa, which is most of it, is that our governments, almost throughout Africa, but especially here, say that there's entitlement. And there is a taxpayer who will sort it out while the guys are at the trough feeding out.
And we know what the consequences
I don't have a solution. I'm just saying that I believe that it's not bad to have the presence of the person down your street. So
serves as a kind of conscience.
Sorry, Charl, Ron was first.
Okay, I will decide. Francis, go for it.
Okay, I just sort of have an intuition that what you're talking about is happening anyway in a kind of
the social Darwinist
something that
way.
goes on that we not aware of because we're not part of it, but that if you come into the country you'll find a group who or under that bridge or whatever. And I'm not convinced that they would necessarily choose to go where there's no kind of kinship or connection or...
I hear what you're saying.
They might go if they're desperate.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to mention is 1 in 100 people are schizophrenic.
Yes, yeah.
Now, obviously Leon and I are particularly aware of this. And amongst the black people, those schizophrenics are mostly out on the streets. The whites, they're locked away in a mental home. The blacks are out on the streets. And that's a hell of a lot of people. And I think, and knowing it firsthand, they will go where they want to go. And if that is in the pipe outside your place, that's their place. And the best you can do is give them another blanket.
Or another blanket,
or you'll find another pipe. And you can't... You have no control over
that's
them.
an interesting view. Thanks.
Charl, not to detract from your solution of consentia, I have a more fundamental question, and that's an open one.
Yes.
You'll recall when you were a deacon, probably one of the more famous Jewish mystics, Yeshua ben Yosef, Jesus, who said, you will always have the poor, but you won't always have me. I want to understand why we perceive being poor or poverty as an issue.
Because they've been screwed. The system doesn't like them. Not in my backyard. The system takes their only blanket away.
So when you are wealthy, the system takes 60 or 70%.
Sure, but you can survive it. Are you
I'm just
comparing
asking,
your life with this guy's life?
No. I'm just saying, why do we as humans perceive poorness or misery as an issue?
When my mother saw, let's say, a spider with 3 of its legs being trampled on, crawling there, she said, "Be merciful." Okay, now that might remind you of the final solution. I don't want to kill it, I want to help it. I want to mend its legs. I want to do something.
You know where I'm going.
Yeah, no, I killed that fly. A bee. I killed it in my attempt to save it. I know. This bee was crawling around there on the sand. I stepped forward to help it. I created a hole. The thing toppled over. I couldn't find the bee.
And I was standing there saying, Charl, for the love of God, leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Don't try and help it. My mother just taught me different. And I think it's in our genes to help the struggling of the tribe, the struggling of the society. There's something there. Why do I feel this way? Now, intellectually, I've solved the problem, man.
Charl, just carrying on from the bee. Well, why don't you do something about it?
This is it. This is the start of.
I know you say everybody must do it.
Yes.
Why don't you do it?
I'm doing it. But I've found a philosophy that actually says, don't worry, you don't have to do it. This talk is now saying, great philosophy. I don't want to any different, but I still have this feeling, and I want to feed the feeling.
What practical thing are you doing now?
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
Okay.
So, question. In your presentation, let's hypothetically say I buy into your plan.
Good stuff. Now we do.
Right, now instead of the $5 I'm going to give to the guy in the pipe, I'd rather buy into your idea. So here's $5.
Good stuff.
Is that enough for anything?
It's a start.
It's a start? Okay, so what if my $5 is all you get? So this guy's not getting it.
At some point I'll come to you and say, nobody else buys into the idea. Do you want your $5 back, or could I give it to the guy in the pipe?
Okay.
How's time going? I haven't really been. I've been enjoying the talk, but it's. We're now.
We have enough time.
Sure.
We're actually.
We're running a bit over, but it's fine.
You should do your place next to a major hospital, because those people come out half dead with nowhere to go.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
And they die on the streets.
So that's an interesting one.
Ellen Joseph and those places.
That's an interesting one. Now that's a useful,
the bottom of the trough.
A useful target population. Good stuff. And we might move on from pipes. We don't have to have pipes.
We know that from hospice, because we go and talk to the dying.
Right.
And the hospital gets them out as soon as they can walk. They've got nobody.
Okay, that's a very good one. Been recorded, hasn't it, Stewie? It has. Right, won't be lost for posterity. That we thought of a way to make it happen.
Charl, I think what happens with a lot of poor people is what Peter has said. You become dependent on people giving you
we know
something.
that, and this philosophy.
And we don't want to encourage that.
Definitely not.
We want to have people be somebody in their own
self-esteem.
spot.
Yes.
Even if you're living in a pipe.
Even if you give him something, you do it in such a way that he doesn't perceive that it's a handout.
I'm thinking of not the ill people. I'm talking about people like you showed us a photo of this lady coming in and having nowhere to go. So I'm thinking of that is important, to make people know they're worth something.
And there are various groupings. I like Francis's one. This one
and I think
would
Peter
also
and
be
I found that a country like Malawi, for 30 years, has gone to the dogs because of donations.
Yes,
And there's so many countries going in there, let us build you a house. And the guy sits there, pissed out of his head, while you build his house.
And the builder that would have gotten involved, the local builder, he's out of a job because you've taken over that.
You've got 20 European young kids who think they're doing something for Africa.
No, we
Getting
understand.
the wrong idea of what.
We understand that.
So you don't want that.
We know that we don't want that, and I think we can devise a way of solving the problem with that.
So, sure.
Okay, I'd love to hear from.
Evelyn.
Further to what Julie has said, isn't it more useful to have a community where you have people come through and you enable them, teach them some basic.
If you want to teach them, you can teach them.
Well,
I'm just going to put the infrastructure in place, and there will be many people with many reasons to actually help solve, and some of them are very skillful. So yes, I've been in training my whole life. I wouldn't have been in training if I didn't think that
You train somebody.
that you can actually better a person if they're able to display certain skills and competencies. So yeah, they might.
That seems to be very lacking in South Africa.
Yeah. All right.
So what do you need? You need money to buy some land and some pipes, huh?
That's it.
It surprises me that there isn't more experimentation in the world, because this
Yeah.
seems like a worthwhile experiment.
Yeah.
So if
yeah.
I had a lot of money, I would say, Charl, here's R1 million.
Yeah.
Don't give the pipes away, but use this to enable this.
Yeah, and work with in order to develop a.
If you made your pitch to, I don't know, Doe Steyn or
Yeah.
someone else here who has a lot of money,
Yeah.
surely he would write you a check for that.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
You see,
Someone like
now, Gail promised. I promised Gail that I will not do what I'm doing now. So I'm not doing it. Okay. I earn 27,000 rand a month. For the next 2 years, for 27,000 rand a month, I will run this project. Anybody got 27,000 rand a month for the next 2 years? And in 2 years' time, there will be an experiment out there that is busy happening.
So your
Because
first
I
divorce
hate.
was- Your first divorce was leaving a well-paying job for...
Yes.
Or was it the relationship with another man? I didn't quite follow.
Right. Okay, so that's not real. But yeah, I get this feeling. Charl, just do something now. This has been niggling for years that you're not doing enough in your life to actually soothe that part of who you are.
I would say pitch it to someone who can write you that check.
Okay.
I can't.
Do it near a hospital like Baragwana.
The real problem is that you need to ensure that the red ants don't show up on your property.
Yeah.
Now, how do you do that?
No,
just let me finish.
No, why should I let you finish?
Because
Trevor, we've spoken about the border conditions of our Libertaria and how we're going to do it to the nth degree.
What am I about to say?
Okay, continue.
In order to accomplish the result that the red ants don't show up on your boundary,
yes,
what you should do is join the DA, canvass hard for them, become the mayor.
No, it's long term.
No,
I think we can...
just let me finish.
Sorry.
In which case, once you are the mayor, you can actually turn off the red ants. That is the key source. All of the rest of it.
So political power. So that's
Well, we know Herman Mashaba.
Now, in order to get there, you need to raise some funds. Okay. So what I suggest you do is go out and raise a couple of taxes on basically the rich whites in order to accomplish your objective here.
So that's not the idea of this.
Well, unfortunately, I'm afraid this is what I...
A pipe dream.
This is not even a pipe dream.
But you don't get what Charl's saying. He wants to be hands-on involved in helping these people's lives. He doesn't want to be a politician.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, unless you can beat the politicians, you are nowhere.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was my view. I hope you enjoyed it.